Hey everyone, my name is Elias, and my life goal is to make aging and death completely optional. For that, I'm right now working incredibly hard to build the fundamental skills I think that I want to have to contribute towards that goal, which is mainly coding and basic or like a fundamental strong understanding of biology. And yeah, I'm working incredibly hard. For the last 3 months, I worked an average of 10 hours and 40 minutes every day. So yeah, 10 hours, 40 minutes focused work, not counting toilet breaks and whatever. And this month, April 2025, was the first month that I took my foot a little bit off the gas. It was the first time I visited my family. It was the first time there was a day where I didn't work, or actually there were multiple days where I didn't work, because for the first 3 months there, I just worked every day. And yeah, so I also had a surgery. That means a couple more days without focused work. And in total, I only, wait, let me change this. I made a presentation for people who want to look at it. But if you're just listening to this on the podcast player, this is also all fine. And I will just explain what you see, or actually, it's just to support if you want to see. And so this month, I started out with 4 incredibly strong days. This was the last days of my exam season, and in these days I was studying for computational linguistics, which is kind of like how do we use computers to understand language. And so language models, ChatGPT, large language models, is like all of that is connected to this field. So understanding language. And first I thought, this is not so relevant for me. Like, I want to study biology. I have to, go into this, and computational linguistics is just like, it's on the side, it's not so relevant. But it turns out that it was super interesting. And the things I learned about language, I think actually I'm surprised how much they might be applicable to problems of biology, because language is also just a really, really complex problem that we actually made some progress towards solving. I don't know if you can ever solve language, but large language models are quite impressive, I must say. It was incredibly interesting to learn about language, learn about language models, how they work, how we deal with this incredibly complex problem which is language. And I think that this knowledge definitely I can use for biology, and also just for the pleasure. It was a very, very interesting course. After that, I had a bit of a dip. As I said, for the previous 3 months, I did nothing but work. Like 10 hours and 40 minutes was my average for 3 months straight, including weekends. And there was never a day in those 3 months that I didn't work. And this was the first time it kind of showed. So for around a week, I was not feeling as enthusiastic anymore. It was just like, in the first month, in January, I was walking on clouds. I was working 10 hours a day, every day. I was super focused. I was dancing in the evening when I was brushing my teeth, because I was so proud that I managed to get all this work done. But now, in this first week of April, I don't know, there was just the joy was missing. I was just pushing myself. It was just pure willpower of, okay, I have to do, I do this because this is my habit, and I do this because I want to do this. But there was way less joy, all this joy that was in the beginning. So after the exams I watched a couple of movies, which for you might sound like, oh, well, yeah, of course, if you have hard exams and hard work, sometimes you watch movies. But for me, it's an explicit goal that I don't want to watch movies. I don't want to spend my time on this. If I want to have time to relax, I want to have proper regeneration, that I just maybe do nothing, or I meditate, or I spend time with friends, but I don't want to spend my time watching movies. At least that was or is my goal till now, or my policy kind of, which can always change, but still, for this on the 5th, I watched a couple of movies, which is against my goal. And even if you agree or disagree with my goal, doesn't matter. But the fact is that I didn't want to do this, and I still did it, which means that I didn't have enough, willpower, enough strength to pull this through. And for the following days, I really spent some time kind of reflecting on, okay, why did this happen? Why does work doesn't feel as fun anymore right now? And I just spent a bunch of time reflecting in this area, and thinking about if I want to continue working that hard. And it turns out I do want to continue working that hard. I still think this is like the most interesting life I can live, and even if it's just hard, if sometimes if you just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, it starts feeling like, okay, why am I even doing this? Like, of course I see the progress, but biology is so big. Like, I will never be able to understand everything like anyway, but I will never be able to make I will not never be able, but it will take another year for me to have like really strong understanding with this immense pace of like giving my all into this work. And I think that was those days that I just reflected, and I was also thinking about like, hey, this watching movies, this is actually okay. Do I maybe want to allow myself to just do breaks from time to time and do things just for pleasure and not things just for like this mix of, okay, I want to achieve this goal, so I'm working on it, and it also gives me pleasure. Like, working hard gives me a lot of pleasure, but not always. Like, sometimes there are just days where it sucks and where you have to push through, where I push through, and on those days I wasn't able to fully push through. So still like sometimes struggling with that, but I think that's a work in progress, and it's never going to be done. Like, it's never going to be that I have zero problems with this media. I'm actually quite happy that I managed for 3 months to not watch any movies, to not waste my time on social media, to not do all of that. But this happened. And afterwards I spent a couple of days, like 4 days, coding, doing the machine learning specialization of deep learning AI and Andrew Ng. Extremely good course. I really love it. I built a how's it called, k-means clustering algorithm from scratch in Python. I published the algorithms that build them from scratch on GitHub, like, if you want to look at them, which you probably don't, but I built this algorithm just to make sure that I really understand k-means clustering, and I do this with all the machine learning and deep learning algorithms that I learn about, or I at least try to, because I think that's the best way to like actually make sure you really understand it. Because if you can just take a blank Python file and write a k-means clustering algorithm, that means you don't understand how k-means clustering works. Even if this is super basic stuff, like, I still think like, if you understand the basics well, that's definitely extremely useful. One thing I forgot about this reflection time that I had. Because I'm doing so much sciencey stuff, I'm reading papers and I'm reading textbooks about biology and everything. It's like kind of my brain is primed to think this way. And when I was spending this time on reflecting, I actually also started writing 2 papers about my philosophy of life, which I called searchism and valencism. And I wanted to like I think it just helped me to process, to write like a paper about those 2 ideas, or like 2 papers, one paper about searchism and one paper about valencism, which are 2 kind of like philosophies I made up myself. at some point I was like, okay, I'm not going to finish those papers now. Maybe I'm going to finish them later, but because I want to go back to study biology and coding. But yeah, in general, also those ideas kind of overlap with other philosophies. I can maybe explain a bit what they are. So we have Searchism, which is my approach how I want to live life, which is I don't believe that there's anything or like maybe, okay, let's say like this. Like it's a bit like Pascal's wager, but different. It doesn't have the flaw. So it's like you can imagine there might be objective meaning, so something that is objectively better than something else in this universe, or there might not be. And if there's not, it doesn't matter what you do. You can do whatever you want. But if there is something that's objectively better than something else, and you knew this, you would of course do the thing that is objectively better than the other thing. The problem is we have no idea. So what can we do now? We can either just do whatever we want, or we can search for if there is something that is objectively better for something than something else. And no matter if there is something or not, like if you like the search, it will be good in both cases. So in the case I can do whatever the fuck so sorry for swearing, but I can do whatever I want. I search for meaning and I enjoy the search, then it's like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. So it's like, it's not wrong, it's not right to search for meaning. It's just like what I decided to do. But if there is something that is meaningful and you search for it and you find it, that's actually like, yeah, you found it. So this is kind of the idea. It's of course a bit more elaborate in the paper draft I wrote, but this is the idea of Searchism, which I had. The other idea was Valencism, which is like, okay, the only thing that matters is your personal kind of not emotional, but like, yeah, the valence of your experience. So like how good, how bad do the things feel that you do, which turned out to be very similar to how's it called, hedonism. But I think like hedonism gets like an extremely bad branding, because hedonism is like, oh, you only do the things that are fun right now, so that means like I will get drunk, take drugs, and have a lot of sex. I don't know, like this is what hedonism sounds like. But in the end, like if there are other things that make you happy, if like going for a hike or working on a hard problem is something that makes you happy, or like, yeah, working on aging, which maybe prevents you from getting sick in the future, if that is something that also makes you happy, this might be even a better hedonistic thing to do. Like solving disease might be the most hedonistic thing you can do. So that is kind of the idea of Valencism, which is very similar to hedonism, or which is actually like, I just scrapped kind of the idea of Valencism because it is hedonism, but it's just like this rebranding, because yeah, hedonism is like, yeah, you just do short term what is fun, but I don't think that is what hedonism has to be. Like you can also do what increases your happiness long term, and I think disease is something that really can decrease happiness, and if you fix all disease, this is definitely something that increases your happiness long term. So yeah, that's the idea of Valencism. As I said, afterwards I came home, I spent a bunch of time with my family. I wanted to have some quality time with my little sisters because I didn't see them for so long, so I decided to take all three of them and go into the forest and build a hut. So we built a hut for a whole day. We were in the forest together, which was very nice, which was a lot of fun. I also spent time with my grandma was there, and I sat down with my grandma, great grandma actually, for 4 hours and recorded the podcast. It's in German, so I also will not upload it, I think, but yeah, just asking her about her life and her telling stories about like how she experienced the Second World War, where she was still a child, and yeah, just asking and recording this. And I think it's really cool that I recorded it, because I'm talking with her so much, and I also talk to my other grandparents and great-grandparents, but after a while you always forget, and all those memories it's like, yeah, they are so fleeting, and actually recording is, I think it's really cool. So like if there's a day where my grandmother, great grandmother is not here anymore, I will be able to listen to this, and or my children or children's children can listen to this and hear like how their great grandma experienced the Second World War and what her thoughts were. And yeah, I think this is something really valuable, and I want to do this with all my family members, like my parents, my grandparents, because just, yeah, it's such a also a thing that is like you show them like, hey, I want to get to know you. I want to spend time with you. It's like quality time, and at the same time you also have something long term from recording this. Yeah, which I really like. The last thing I actually forgot. Yeah, I had my surgery also. Everything went well. A couple of days without work here. I forgot to put a slide for this, but what I started doing now is longevity news. Because there's something I would really love, like I would really love to see in this world. There are a lot of newsletters about longevity. There are newsletters about longevity science. There are newsletters about I don't know, the industry. There are newsletters about like, yeah, all the longevity stuff. But what I would really like to have is like once a month, because I sign up to all those newsletters, but in the end, like I never read them. What I would really love, because I love to listen to podcasts, I would love to have a once a month podcast which summarizes like the main relevant, or just like some findings of like recent new findings of the longevity industry, some changes, yeah, just somebody that puts in the hours, going through all this new things, reading through new papers, and just summarizes them in like a nice, cozy podcast format that you can just put on your ears while you, I don't know, clean your kitchen or whatever. And I would love to have this podcast, but it's not here. And so I decided, okay, well, if it's not here, maybe I will just try to build it. And I'm not sure if I will continue this long term. So right now it's still an experiment. But I already uploaded the one for April 2025. So it's the video before this, and the one of May is also coming soon. It's still the beginning, so I'm still like kind of experimenting with how I'm going to do that. But if you're interested in like something cozy, like just I don't know how long it's going to take on average, but just like some time where I go through recent papers of longevity, you can listen to this. For me, this is also an amazing way to learn, because if I'm kind of forced to read through a bunch of longevity papers every month to do this news, I will get a way better understanding of the longevity science. And so, yeah, this is why I'm trying this out right now. As I said, not sure if I'm going to continue, but right now it's still in the experiment tryout phase. And it's definitely extremely interesting, and I already learned a lot from reading those papers, and yeah, from actually seeing what's going on in this field. Yeah, so this was my summary of April 2025. Thank you for being here, and have a good month. See you next month, or see you at the longevity news.